Welcome everyone to the Film Vault. Dennis Anderson, I'm Bryan Bishop, your host for today. We're going to confess the films we've seen in the past week. Got a whole batch of films for you. We're excited to bring them to you. How you been, buddy?
I've been good. I want to get to this before I forget, because Gina Grad just left. We did top 5 90s art house films with Gina Grad this week, and we recorded before this one, which we normally don't do, and I told her that we would plug her upcoming book at the top of this show, because that's how I think plugs should go.
Although, okay, so I'm going to say Gina has a book coming out soon. The title was a reveal when she was in here, so I'll simply say Gina's got a book coming out. I'm excited for it. It comes out in like 5-ish weeks, so just, keep an eye on her social media, keep an eye on Amazon, search for Gina Grad, and when that book is available to order or pre-order, do that. The title of which, like I said, is a bit of a reveal on the next episode, or part 2 if you're listening to this on the same day.
Well put, buddy. And also, I can't remember what the title is because I'm terrible at titles and remembering things. So, yeah, you're right. It was a reveal. She dropped it on the
exclusive.
Between now and Friday, though, before the show actually airs for everybody beyond Patreon, you think she's gonna
blab about it?
You think she's gonna blab?
Fucking better not. On another film podcast.
All right, it's all about stepmotherhood.
It is.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, let's get to a couple things right off the bat. We have a new listener on the Patreon.
Is that how we do this?
We have a new Patreon member who was letting me know. He's like, here's the deal. I just came over and having some issues with the player. And he's like, it's skipping and, things will repeat after. And I'm like,
I think I heard about this.
What is that? I've not heard about that. So at first I'm like, Avery, how dare you butcher our show? So I passed it along to Avery, and he did some digging, as well as Mitch Burns. They both did some digging. And it turns out that some of the players, primarily, I think the actual native podcast player on your phone, the purple guy, he does that. There's a number of listeners saying that happens with many podcasts, not just ours. So just to let you know, we are not like taking our foot off the pedal or not paying mind or crossing the T's and the I's and all that. We put out a solid, good, finished show. I can't, speak to the way that we perform on it, but we're not making just horrible editing errors.
It is well produced.
It's I think it's Steve or Tim Apple's problem or Steve Jobs' problem from the grave. It has nothing to do with us.
This is Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah, so try and find a better app player, possibly Tyler. So apologies to that, but just to let you know, he's like, here are the early reviews. Show's great. The player is giving me issues. So.
This is a good time. This is a nice segue to plug our Patreon. $5 a month. That is practically free.
Goes back.
It's $5 more than free.
You get keys to the vault, and it goes very, very far back. You'll hear the very first time we ever sat down behind microphones together, doing something called Movie Beat. All of the Orange Couch Day shows are on there. All of the 97.1 shows are on there that predate the Orange Couch Days.
Do we have all of those? Were they all accounted for?
Yeah. I have like the entire archive, and then a number of the other ones. We don't have the entire collection up there. I piecemeal them out, and I got to go back and listen to them, cut out the commercials, and remaster them before I put them up. But cut out you saying the N-word, of course. That doesn't fly.
Appreciate that a lot.
Yes, and it is a massive. It is a very large archive. You have many hundreds of hours of the Film Vault when you go to the Patreon $5
Too much,
a month.
I would say.
And it really, really helps the show and justifies the show, especially to my wife. Honey, I'm watching movies for a living. Please get off my back. Please let me do this. It's very important. Not really. Hey, but if I could buy a new car, then she'd be like, or not even a new car, just a car to have. I don't have a car right now. I pedal around like some kind of paper boy from the 80s. If I could actually, buy myself an old truck. Hey, anyone selling like an old beater truck? I'm just looking for like an old beater that I can commute or just drive around town.
Why truck?
I don't know. That's just seems to be the cheapest thing that shows up when I'm looking around. Also, this should be noted. Next week, we'll be doing Tyler Mayer's Freezing Cold Scenes. Tyler Mayer has assigned this to us. He's assigned us a number of things in the past, but Freezing Cold Scenes will be top 5 freezing cold scenes next week.
Okay.
Tyler has assigned us a number of things in the past. Paint Your Wagon.
That's right.
Lords of Chaos was assigned, as well as Ink. Remember, I watched the wrong Ink, and then I watched the next. Top 5 Coen brother characters was Tyler Mayer, not Tyler Cohen. So this will be next week. And then finally, we will be watching Thomas Kusterman has us watching That's different now because you fucked up, fuckhead that you are. You didn't watch the listener assigned movie, which is a woman is hard to find. A good woman is hard to find, which was not watched. We'll be watching that next week. It's available on Canopy. You can also rent it. I have seen this. A Good Woman is Hard to Find, and it really was an overlooked movie. This is a movie that should have been talked about a bit. Very good movie, I should say. Hard to watch at times. Crime-driven drama about drug dealers and the little Guy Ritchie in there without the style.
All right.
And
that's all Guy Ritchie is.
But he always has like crime bosses that are very frightening. Yeah, very colorful characters. Some characters you really want to love, but then they turn out to be douchey, like real douchey, so you can't love them, but they're fun. A Good Woman is hard to find, thanks to John Campbell, who feels like this is an overlooked film from 2020. I think 2020. And we'll be catching up with that one next week. So, as well as Dr. Horrible's Sing Along on YouTube, thanks to Eric Robbins. Who's been giving us good support for quite some time. Let's move on with a little fanfliction.
Yeah, let's see what the listeners have seen. Excuse my swallow. The listeners have seen in the past week. This
is thanks to Mitch Burns, who compiles this list for us.
Thank you, Mitch Burns. He scours Facebook. Well, that's my scour. I mean, they put him on our page. On Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Reddit, apparently. Devin Miller AZ on Instagram.
No. We did this already. Remember, we screwed up because we recorded out of order. So you can...
You were going to cut that out.
I'm not going to.
Come on.
You want me to?
Yeah,
it's a lot of work.
No, it's not.
So much. You have no right to ever say something that has to do with technical anything on this fucking show is not a lot of work when you've never done any of it. Not a single fucking thing. The closest you've come is you got new headphones, and now we all have to see that look.
I read the chat during our watch-alongs.
It's true.
That said, but let's put it in its proper place.
I'm going to just leave it in, so you'll be able to hear Devin Miller Raz.
That really sounds bad. You just talked about how great our show is produced.
How
well our show is produced.
It's fine. It's not going to be like you're going to be hearing Bryan read poorly again. Yeah, it's not going to be like the same thing, cut and paste. And now I have to leave it in because I'm not going to cut out all this.
Devin Miller, I'm just going to make the same jokes. Devin Miller AZ
that's
on
the
Instagram
real problem.
says, I want to dance with somebody. I don't know why he said, he saw the movie. I want to dance with
That happened organically on the next show. You'll hear.
He says, pretty average biopic. Nothing really made it stand out. And when I saw the credits that all the musical performances were lip synced, that took away from the actress's performance a little. I get that would be virtually impossible. I disagree for an actor to live up to Whitney's voice, but having seen some pretty good attempts recently with Respect and Elvis, that's a strike against the movie. Karma Fight Squad. I think I said Karma Night Squad. So actually, this is better. I corrected myself.
Yep.
I pre-corrected myself.
You said it right.
Karma Fight Squad on Instagram says, watched Puss in Boots, The Last Wish with the family and was pleasantly surprised. John Mulaney as Jack Horner, Florence Pugh as Goldilocks, and Olivia Colman as Mama Bear were standouts. Exclamation point. Lewis Longshadow on Twitter says, white noise. You should get a medal if you made it through the first 20 minutes. It straddles the line between entertaining and pretentious. I can't recommend it. We'll be talking about that shortly.
We will be talking about Noah Baumbach's latest effort, White Noise.
Hexam311 on Reddit says...
That's a 311 Nick Hexam reference.
Reference to the band from Ohio. A man called Otto.
You got to throw in from Ohio? Like, how is that relevant? You just wanted to show that you knew that?
Why did you mention the Hexam 311?
Just to make sure that you knew that it was a 311.
I understand that.
And everyone else did too.
A Man Called Otto, another cash grab American remake of a great foreign language movie. A Man Called Ove, I think.
Ove.
Tom Hanks is, of course, charming, so it wasn't terrible.
A man named Hoover.
I think this is also, this is either Mitch or this is also A Man Called Hexam. Man Called Hexam 311. Whoa.
I think this is probably Mitch, if I had to guess. Megan,
a horror comedy that leans more on the comedy part. The movie knows what it is, so my theater had lots of laughs. The PG-13 neuters any real teeth that it could have had, but for what it is, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you'll be hearing the first 3 or so on the next one, and those last 2, those are freshies.
That's right.
You won't hear those repeated, all right? Because that's the kind of program we are. We don't repeat. We do not repeat.
Cut that out, would you?
You know what's funny is Megan, which I have, it's not made for me. I don't think I need to watch it. You're like, earlier this week, you sent me a text. Are we watching Megan? I'm like, I'm not. I was just walking out of like some fast food place. I don't even know where I was. I was on the street somewhere, and I just heard clear as day, like this younger girl talking to like her friend. Oh my God, they did what? And then she's just describing beat by beat what happens at the end of Megan. And I was like, thank God I don't have no interest in watching this movie, because I would be kind of annoyed that the entire end is being discussed in public. I'm walking behind these
Loudly.
because I would have done something like crazy. Like if I really cared, it was a movie that I really wanted to see. Like,
Hey, you too.
I might have just like, like cover my ears, like something real nerdy. I was like, oh, I know how. And then I thought about it. I'm like, of course that's how Megan ended. Like it's the most, it's the most.
Tell me about the ending
basic
is described by two McDonald's girls.
Ending I was walking out of a McDonald's up in Central California. I was grabbing some food for the wife and the boy. It was the most telegraphed, basic, the only way that a movie like that could end. And the one chick was just flabbergasted. She's like, no way. That's what happened. Like she was talking about.
It blew her mind.
Like she was talking about Usual Suspects or something. Like she was talking about like the middle of Crying Game. Like what?
He was dead the whole time.
Like a little Sixth Sense. Oh no!
Why would you do
I
that?
just fucked everything up.
Why did you do that?
No, I was talking about Seventh Sense, which is the
sequel.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? What can you do?
You don't cut stuff out, so
it's true. That's my for 2023. I'm not cutting things out. I cut one thing out actually, and I came clean about it with the John show. I just still shudder about that. I just think about it. I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking, Cowan?
You should have explained to Gina about like Jews.
I was gonna do that. Yeah,
You should have.
You know the thing about the Jews? Hear me out. As a goyim who knows very little about it, I've been mistaken
The Jews
Jewish with my
as a
name.
people.
Yeah, the Jews as a people, especially in this country. Oh, I'm gonna be talking about Jewish people.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, tell me.
Jack Benny, 1942 film.
Okay.
I'll be talking about
Noah
To Be
Baumbach.
or Not To Be. I'll also be talking about Baumbach. All right, let's do this. Oh my God, let's get to White Noise, because it's the biggest, newest movie that we covered this week.
White Noise is a 2022 film directed by Noah Baumbach. Him, the director of The Squid and the Whale, While We're Young, and Marriage Story. I think Marriage Story is probably the one people know the most.
Maybe, yeah, because it was so
being
accessible on
recent,
Netflix, and was up for awards and whatnot. Very, very good movie. Squid and the Whale is my favorite of his by far and away. And I think it was my first Noah Baumbach movie I saw. And like there was just I was addicted, right, to Baumbach. I'm like, I love this Squid and the Whale so much. I will see whatever this man does. If White Noise was the first movie I saw that he did,
I was excited.
I don't know if I've ever seen another Noah Baumbach. I would never see Squid and the Whale if it came out after. I would have never seen it.
I'd have to assign it to you. This movie, White Noise, stars Adam Driver, Greta Gerwig, and Don Cheadle in a smaller role. 63% of Rotten Tomatoes.
What?
The audience has it at 32. You can stream this on Netflix. I normally don't do this, but when I Googled it, it did inform me that amongst Google users who have rated the film, it's 1.9 out of 5.
Out of 5. That's not good, Bryan.
That's below 2.
All right. Let's talk about what works. What you didn't talk about the credit, the who wrote it. I think that's the biggest thing here.
I didn't. Please tell us.
It's an author who I'm not familiar with, because get this, Bryan, I don't read much. That's why I watch movies. I think with the whole I don't read too good know-how. That's why I watch so many movies, because I still want to know about the human experience, and I want to empathize with things and learn things, but I don't read too good, so I have to watch. Yeah, so give me the name of the something starts with a D. I guess he's a known and beloved novelist who has a very particular style. Noah Baumbach.
Don DeLillo.
I think he really
Don
sings.
DeLillo.
Noah Baumbach, who has similar sensibilities, I think, but when he's writing his own stuff, that's what I think I respond to. Much like Pynchon, right, is the novelist who wrote Inherent Vice, which didn't work in a very similar style. White Noise does not work for me anyways. I mean, that's not, he set out to make a movie that works for me. I don't know if it works as a movie as a whole. So why don't we talk about the plot if we can?
Can we?
Then I'll start to talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if
It's kind of hard to talk about the plot. All right, it's a period piece. Takes place in the 80s, right? Yeah. It's a family with, I think, 3 kids. I found myself trying to ignore the kids whenever they're in the room.
It's the older boy, 2
Turn
sisters.
that off. It's very distracting and unprofessional. It's unbelievable that you don't silence your phone. So it's an 80s period piece.
That was the computer.
Great sets. So let's talk about some of the good stuff. Great sets, great color. the supermarket in particular,
I
which they
was
continue
thinking-
to go back to, is amazing.
I'm glad
I
you
want to
brought
spend
that
time in
because
that.
I was thinking about how difficult. I was once talking to, I don't know if I heard it from someone or was talking to someone, a production designer, who's like, it's much harder to do a movie in the recent past as opposed to the distant past. Like if it's fucking knights in shining armor, you know, you can make anything up you want.
Well, that's real. But what about the 40s where you still have like pictorial evidence?
Right. But like a movie like it set in the early 80s is difficult because you got like Anderson alluded to, the shopping, this grocery store that keeps coming back in the movie is populated entirely with old 80s looking Pepsi cans. Or
And you got to be
cereal
accurate because
boxes.
people remember they lived it. They're still alive and they're watching this, such as
So
myself.
production design is excellent.
I don't know if I'd call them out and be like, that's not what Pepsi, I don't know if I'd be able to call them out on the Corningware set and how it was inaccurate.
You might actually.
Nowadays, maybe I can. So yeah, great sets, great supermarket. It opens up just to let you know like what kind of a vibe it is a car crash lecture by Don Cheadle, because they're professors.
He's a professor.
Adam Driver's character plays like he's the leading Nazi expert.
He's a Hitler expert.
So it's about life and death and like some big overarching themes in this movie, which I couldn't connect with. There's an extraordinary train wreck involving a flammable big rig that causes an airborne toxic event like early in the film.
Which
and
was, by the way, a bit of a red herring.
That's what the movie's kind of set in motion and based around at first. But you're right. It doesn't really add up to much. This is obviously probably worked really well in a novel. It doesn't. At times, Brian, it felt like I was watching a foreign, like a wordy comedic foreign language film without subtitles.
Yeah, there's extreme tone management issues. Like there are times where this is a very Noah Baumbach-y talky type movie. Like there are long stretches of dialogue,
but it's
and
not
then there's
his
times,
dialogue. So I'm not.
What?
I'm not. It's not his dialogue.
Oh, sure. But I'm saying there is dialogue, whoever it is. But my point is, then there's stretches where it's like a madcap comedy, and I actually enjoyed those a little
like
bit.
Vacation almost.
Yeah, like where they're driving away from this, and like Anderson said, this toxic plume. Like I kind of enjoyed that. I thought it was
the river scene was
funny.
It was one of the best action sequences I saw.
At one point, they're floating down a river. They're driving in their car and they attempt to cross a river because all the roads are blocked with people attempting to exit the town because of this toxic plume. And they end up in a river. And Adam Driver is impotently steering the wheel as the car floats aimlessly down the river.
It actually did. No, it did actually turn the car. And his son, who was a know-it-all, knew stuff. His son who was playing like a Jesse Eisenberg from Squid and the Whale. It felt very like the same character.
Yeah,
like
sure. The pompous professor.
No, his son.
No, I'm saying there are elements of the Squid.
Definitely. Perhaps this is what led him to do Squid and the Whale. I don't know. Obviously, he has a real reverence for this novel. It just, I don't think it translated, and it felt a lot like Alexander Payne's Downsizing. Where like they didn't feel like an Alexander Payne movie at all, and it was the ideas were too big, and it just didn't. It was stilted, Brian. Like this movie did it not feel stilted?
Yeah, at times it did.
And like those kids,
most of the time,
the kids, like I wanted them.
Therefore,
off the screen every time they're on the screen. I was trying to like block them out, like you do, like a screaming baby on a plane. Every time
hold
the children would come,
to the little kid's face.
I would just try and go like, I hope this scene doesn't last long, because. But yeah, there was there's some great shots. It felt like Noah Baumbach doing Spielberg. Didn't
really?
It? Yeah, with all the airborne toxic
event stuff. You know what? I'll meet you halfway. That felt like Noah Baumbach doing the Coen Brothers.
No, Spielberg.
It was more wacky, certain parts.
But like some of the shots were very, very. When he was at the gas station, he's getting gas. When he gets exposed, and he's at the Shell station, and the plume is going over his shoulder. Like that was very. They were going for an '80s vibe. I think they were purposely going for a Spielberg vibe. Anyways, I wanted to love this movie, obviously, because it was my number 3 most anticipated of the fall-winter preview.
Ended up being disappointing.
It just didn't translate for me, anyways. And perhaps I'm just not smart enough to pick up what he was letting down.
Well, that might be true.
Yeah, could be. Great shot of the fumes engulfing the Shell logo pole sign over his shoulder as he pumps the gas. That was great.
There were a few good things here and there, but overall, this was an effort.
The end credits sequence, which also is back in the market, might have been the best part of the entire movie, other than the
It might have
river.
been the best part.
The river and the market scene for the end credits, which you don't see this very often, but it's throughout the entire credits. A lot of time they'll do a fun little bit at the end, and then it'll fade to black, and you get the rest of the credits. RR was great.
Wait, let's get back to the river thing, because my interpretation of that scene was Adam Driver being similar to the Jeff Daniels pompous professor character, wanted so badly to have the illusion of control that he was steering the wheel as the car floated down aimlessly, as though he was controlling it. Like, car's drifting left, I'll steer left to make it appear as though I am controlling it. You think he actually had some control?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because I thought that's where going for at first, and then they do a wide shot, and I could see that the car actually was steering in and going.
But he
in the
wasn't
direction.
steering. He wasn't
reacting.
pompous.
I think you're completely misreading him, because he was so. He didn't come off nearly as the pompous.
No.
He was actually enamored with his son, knowing so much, very proud of his son, and he was listening to his son, who got him out of the whole family out of that jam by telling him to kill the engine immediately, and then to when to turn it on and to gun it. Like, he was listening to his prepubescent son. Like, his son was like 14 or something, 13, right?
Whatever. I'm
Not whatever. Like,
No, whatever
like
his
a
age
pompous.
was. Whatever.
Imagine
was
Jeff Daniels'
completely
character
pompous.
listening to anything that's.
Those
his
characters,
son
those
would tell
characters
him.
are different. However, they're the same archetype, because
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll meet you halfway and give you that.
Adam Driver. Remember early in the film, it's funny. He's the leading Hitler expert apparently in the world, or at least in American college academia. But then it's revealed that he doesn't know German, and he's secretly taking German
That's early on.
language classes because he's got a big speech coming up or something.
Yeah. And there's some infidelity. There's a lot of big ideas here, and you can tell. I get it. Like, you get to a certain stature, and you can make. You can kind of pick your projects. And Noah Baumbach probably absolutely loves this author and this particular piece of work, and he wanted to bring it to life. And for these guys, anyways, it didn't work.
Didn't quite land.
Much like Inherent Vice. Like, I wish that it worked. And maybe usually when you read the book first, it makes it worse.
That's true.
Yeah. I bet it's a great book.
Might be.
But it's a great book. And you know what? Noah's trying new things, huh? Hey, look at that. All right. Hey, would you look at that?
Hey.
All right, what else we got there?
I saw a movie that sounds very similar to the. I'm excited to see A Good Woman Is Hard to Find, because there are a lot of similarities between your description and the movie I saw, which I enjoyed very much. Emily the Criminal. Emily the Criminal.
The Crim.
2022 film written and directed by John Patton Ford.
A little late to the table here, Barbara.
A little bit. Well, maybe not, because, we'll get there in a second.
No.
Feature debut for Mr. John Patton Ford. This stars Aubrey Plaza, Theo Rossi, Megalyn. Oh, that's your name. Oh, shit, I read it right. Wait, did I write that
Her
down?
mom was a megalodon shark.
I think I wrote it down right. Megalyn, fuck. Never mind. I'm going to try her. Etchikun.
That's what the math in your head. You saw that her last name was bizarre and out there, so you're like, Megalyn probably makes sense as well. Is that what happened?
Yeah, it did a little bit. Gina Gershon's also in this. 94%. This is streaming on Rotten Tomatoes. Emily is our flawed hero. She, like Anderson talked about a few weeks ago, this is a girl who is working a menial labor job. She's delivering and setting up corporate catering, for lunch. You have the big meeting in the office, and there's sandwiches. She's the one setting up the sandwiches.
Low on the totem pole.
Yeah, she's doing blue collar work, and so is having trouble making the rent. The money's tight, and I think it was her coworker who was like, "Hey, you can make $1,000 here in one day if you want to, or whatever it is, $500. If you just here, give him a name and a number, and go talk to this guy and make a bunch of money in one day." She does. Turns out to be a mid-level scam where stolen credit cards are being used to.
Leave it. Yeah, it just says low-level scam. I mean, it was fun kind of trying to figure out what they're going to have her do.
Okay,
right?
Fair enough. And then, you know what? That's fair. And then she's good at the scam. She pulls it off. Coolness under pressure.
Yep.
And he says, "Hey, you're good at this. Come back tomorrow."
Good tension.
Got a bit of a bigger operation going on.
Yeah.
And the things take off from there.
They elevate.
They escalate.
They escalate.
Quite quickly.
Yes. Did you say Gina Gershon's in this?
I did mention that.
Why would you say that? I don't remember her being in this.
She was the executive she met with towards the end, who she had the
Love that Gina. I don't remember her being
unfortunate
in this.
interaction.
All right. Okay. I believe you.
I'm typically annoyed, Anderson, by everything Aubrey Plaza does, including
She was great in this.
doing Aubrey Plaza thing. She was fantastic. I found her very compelling here.
Relatable.
And I was surprised, having looked at maybe some of the early odds for Oscars nominations.
No.
They have not come out yet, but she's not even on the list.
No, of course
that they're
not.
You don't think she'll be?
It's not that kind of movie, Brian. Not at all.
So she was great.
No, Brian. It's a crowded field this
It
year,
is a crowded
especially in
field.
the actress category.
She was great,
Gina
though.
is great. Maybe
Not Gina
Gershon. She's always great. Yeah, Aubrey's great. Maybe this leads to the next role that might get her some attention for something like that. But this is not that. This is not.
It's a complex character, the titular Emily. There were times where I was earnestly rooting for her, and there were times I kind of hope she got foiled or got, caught.
How do you think they were going for that, or do you think they wanted you to root for her all along?
No, I think this feels like I actually wrote down, it feels very authentic and very smart. So I have to think that the director, who's also the writer, knew what he was doing with this character. Like a really well-written character will have you rooting for them sometimes, and then other times not rooting against them.
Yeah.
Mike, I don't know why you remember this, but do people really buy like top line BMWs in fucking Santee Alley, like the back alleys of LA?
I think there is a black market for high-end cars that
That's
are
great. That was
repurposed and
wild.
used for high-end parts.
That was a great scene, by the way.
Cannibalized.
There's a lot of great scenes in it.
Frankenstein. The tension is real. The movie lacks that oomph. I mean, I don't think that the director was going for that because he had such a good story here.
Yeah,
I don't
it's a
think
tight little narrative. It's a good thriller.
it didn't need extra style, to tell the story, to move it along. And I think that that's maybe what it was lacking, ironically, as well. Like it didn't really put it over the edge. It's like, oh my God, you have to see this movie. But it's a very serviceable. It doesn't give it the credit that it deserves.
I have it
the
a 4
tension.
star. I have it a 4 star.
Yeah, it's a 3.5 to 4 star movie. I would say like, it's not wasting your time at all. Goes down smooth, keeps you interested, and there's some great tension that it totally earns. And like you're on the edge of your seat. And nail biters for somewhat low stakes, really, ultimately, but high stakes for her.
Well, yeah, for her, high stakes.
And I appreciate that because, I don't need everything to be like our universe as we know. They keep trying to like up the scale and make it even more. When are they going to get to the point where like every single conscience that ever existed in the universe, everywhere, galaxies you can't even imagine, will all go to hell forever and be tortured? And just
If this one villain
if this
isn't
one
stopped.
Yeah. thing isn't stopped, that's the ultimate, right?
That's
Is
not
that the
bad.
ultimate?
Yeah. I mean, they keep, like you said, escalating. Where does it end?
Or can you get past that? Is there anything worse than that? Every
soul that's existed.
every
now at
flea,
risk. Yeah.
every will just have their worst.
I mean, they kind of did that with Thanos. Every
you just
living being.
get rid of half the population for the Mother Earth, which I agree with. I mean, I kind of see his point. Right? Anyways, Emily the
crowded.
Criminal. It's a solid recommend. Solid recommend. All right, let's take a quick break here, Brian.
What happens here?
Actually, you know what happens here.
Yeah,
So,
baby.
I know for you.
Amazon coming up next.
Hold on, let me get the music.
Come
Aaron, I'm
on.
producing this
This
week.
is why we don't have a producer.
This is why we don't have a
That's
producer?
right.
I think you got that
I stand by it.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you a little something that you probably didn't know.
I already played this song. Son of a
Good job,
bitch.
dipshit.
I already played it in the future for the next episode.
Oh, future you is kicking you.
Past me is kicking future me. All right. Future me is kicking past me. All right, whatever.
I was just doing this. You don't cut anything out.
What?
You don't cut anything out.
No. I mean, we're doing this. Let's
Okay.
go.
I'm often intrigued by the things our listeners purchase, our fans purchase.
Listeners.
Through the Amazon link that sits top andersonandbryan.com. And by the way, if you're a newish listener of the show, yes, we have a Amazon Associates link, and you probably know how it works. All you got to do is literally click it and do your shopping.
Click it or ticket.
It'll keep a track of what you buy. It'll give us a few small percents on the back end. You cost nothing. I mean, it costs nothing to you, and you've helped the show with a very minimal effort. So thank you in advance to everyone who did that. Someone got Anderson.
Wait. Jeez.
What's that?
I don't have the music.
Oh, come on.
We're going to just do it without the music, all right?
I'm going to raw dog it?
I don't know if you need to say that. What are you, some kind of fucking bro in a frat? What are you doing?
Come on, bro.
Don't.
High five.
That's not me. That's Brian. All right, I can find your music halfway through.
That's exactly what I want.
Okay.
But no, I'm going to start off just by saying to you, before I get into the actual list, someone got a couple of they're Botticelli, so they're classics, I guess, but they're prints of very religious artwork. One is the Virgin teaching the infant Jesus to read, and the other is, I don't know if an infant can read. I guess anyone could as Jesus. And the other one is the birth of Venus. Maybe I don't know if it's his most famous work, but anyway,
It's pretty famous. She's
What do
like
you-
she's like a pearl.
what do you do with those?
You give them to your mom.
That's exactly what I thought. Was this bought for an older person?
I don't know the answer.
Was
to
it
that.
bought for an office? Was it bought for a church?
I don't
must know.
Once again, I don't know.
Either way, thank you very much for choosing us to do your clicking and your shopping. We appreciate it. Again, no cost to you. Helps us out. Win-win. Other things purchased on the Amazon click-through banner.
I have it, dude. Oh, the music. The sound. There we go.
Unmute it.
Go ahead.
Someone got a Protomer Survey Master dual function moisture meter.
Is that to check the moisture?
That would be exactly what it's for. I would imagine in the soil, although you could also check it. Yeah. Is it raining?
Or like,
Thing
if you're
up.
cooking a turkey and you don't want it to dry out.
Oh, true. You know what? I assumed
not
it was
sure.
for like the landscaping. Baby Leto Kai Rocker.
My HVAC's got a bunch of water in it, so the heater's not working in my house. and
dear.
It's bitter cold.
4 $100 MasterCard gift cards.
How do you get water in your HVAC?
How does that happen? Isn't that supposed
Rain.
to? Oh, it's definitely heavy rain out here. 2 Synology unbuffered RAM DDR 8 gigabyte were picked up, as well as a Cuisinart Cuisinart Hurricane Pro Blender. New Balance men's V5 sneaker was purchased. I assume 2. Nespresso Ascenza mini espresso machine. Zinus Ultima memory foam mattress. Ego Power 3 3-speed turbo cordless leaf blower was purchased. Someone got themselves a Viofo front and rear dash cam. I guess that records front and rear. In case of collision, you can say, no, it wasn't me, it was the other guy. Trend double-sided diamond sharpening stone. Good Lord, how sharp must that be?
You know what a power move is you like throw your car in reverse and slam into the car behind you and then call the police immediately and say, I've just been rear-ended.
Well, how you gain anything? I don't know. 800 Scotch thermal laminating pouches. 4 Docker straight fit workday khaki smart pants. What makes them smart? Magic of the Gathering starter commander deck bundle. Aerostar MERV 11 pleated air filter and a Air Mega Max 2 air purifier replaced filter set. Someone got a copy of Tools Fear Inoculum, the limited edition vinyl. Enjoy that.
Thank God.
Do you listen to those? Do you
That was going to
listen-
be a book about us.
No. Do you listen to those, or you just like collect and display? Atlantic Oscar media storage cabinet. Renfo R3 massage gun. Moen brass widespread sink faucet. Nespresso capsules in the Melozio flavor. And someone finally got themselves a Wyoming Traders Wyoming wool vest. That wasn't bad.
No, you're pretty close. I'm a little quick on the
Come
up.
on,
A little too quick on the
trigger.
up. Settle down, Cowan. All right, here we go. Here are the movies that were clicked through. This is the last time I talked at y'all. Where's the GD list? Come on. Oh, come on. Oh, the host was clicked through as well as hardcore. I need to see that hardcore, Paul Schrader, hardcore.
Is that with George C. Scott?
Yes.
Turn it off.
The Aviator was clicked through. The Aviator ads.
What's it about?
Drill bits. Hardcore, I'm not going to tell you. Your daughter's in the room right now. I'm not going to tell you about what hardcore is about, but use your imag. Use your imag. We Are Marshall was clicked through, as well as The Last of the Mohicans director's definitive cut.
Oh, should I see that?
Josie and the Pussycats, The Rocketeer was clicked through, as well as Flesh Gordon. Devil in a Blue Dress, Save the Last Dance, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, The Death of Dick Long. What is this? What is this movie? Lacrimosa.
No, no.
Lacrimosa? What is Lacrimosa? Oh, this bugs me.
What is this?
I need to know what Lacrimosa is.
Black Hermosa?
Lacrimosa, 2017. Lacrimosa is a foreign film. Oh, well, I mean, there's only... it's a... of course. So it looks like...
Don't act like you know.
No, I'm saying, of course, I don't know it because I believe it's the animation that... No, it's not. It's live. I don't know what the hell. Looks like animation to me.
What is that?
It's a short? What?
Come on, bro.
All right. Moving on. Tar was clicked through as well as Brainwash, Sex Camera Power, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, FDS, The Northman, Collector's Edition, and Triangle of Sadness. You know what? As the weeks
What was
have
the
gone
second
by...
to last one?
I know, I had to edit myself because your child is in here. She's watching me. Usually I would say after the yes, but I would actually say it. The Northman Collector's Edition.
Okay.
The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, I gave it an F to the S, but I couldn't. The Northman should get an F to the S. Triangle of Sadness, weeks beyond it.
After the baby.
After the possibly. Weeks beyond Triangle of Sadness, the only thing that's really sticking with me.
Poop.
No. It's like the opening 20 minutes when
really?
there's a whole modeling thing. And
That's right. Balenciaga.
give me
Tessie would like the hole in Daddy's face.
all that. Would you stop it? With all the different emotions that he had to emit, really made you fall in love with that character, and then that character kind of wanes, becomes a piece of S.
Becomes a piece of ass
I really liked him in that the opening scene, the opening sequence.
on my face.
Yes, Brian,
See
stop
that?
showing your wounds
It's
to
the
your
size.
child. It makes me feel awkward.
It's the size of a bullet hole.
Makes me uncomfortable, and you're showing off your little
War
article
wound.
wounds.
But the size of a stiletto knife. Ooh, that's right, just like that.
All right, back to the program.
I got this defending the honor of a woman. Welcome back. Anderson's got a couple movies. I got another movie. Well, let's hear what you see.
All right, so as I alluded to earlier, there's a movie called To Be or Not to Be, which is not what you think if you're
Is
not
it
familiar with the
Hamlet
movie.
adaptation?
There is some references, as you'd imagine, but no, it's a World War II satire, comedy, romance, war film released in 1942. Shot, I think it was like a year before Pearl Harbor. Yeah, the plot. So here's the plot. All right, yeah. So filming began in November of 1941, a month before the attack on Pearl Harbor. Is this movie out of touch or great satire? I'm thinking right off the bat. I mentioned it, I think, last week's show that one of the lines that sticks with you is they bring up concentration camps, and a Nazi officer says, "Oh yes, we do the concentrating and the Poles do the camping." Played for laughs, which is
Because they obviously didn't know what was going
they
on.
didn't know the severity of what was going on when they were shooting this. So it's really interesting in that sense, and it's really interesting, very good, enjoyable, goes down smooth movie from 1942. So it's directed by Ernest Lubitsch. Who was, he was pretty prolific at the time, and stars Robert Stack, Carol Lombard, and tragically her last film because she died in a plane crash soon after this. And actually, they cut out a line that she had in the movie that was, "What's the worst that could happen on a plane?" Because there's a love triangle involving a young Polish airman.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, so they cut that actually out of the. Here I am, all these years later, putting it back in the minds of the people who might be familiar with this movie. So this and The Great Dictator are probably the two only movies that I'm familiar with that I know of that really do a stand-up job of doing satire of World War II and the Nazis during the actual time that it's happening. So the storyline is this. The Warsaw Theater Group, it's actually kind of an ingenious plot. There's a Warsaw Theater Group in Poland, obviously, what's where Warsaw is, and they're gearing up to do an anti-Nazi drama in 1939, right? That's supposed to be the year. And during like the first night of the show, it's the eve of the Nazi invasion, and the bombs start falling overhead and ruins the show, and everyone flees. So they once the Nazis have invaded, the theater group, who have been rehearsing playing Nazis for months, all do great German accents and can play these various characters very, very well. So they join the resistance and use their acting skills to impersonate German officers and officials to thwart the occupiers' intentions. And then there's a bit of a storyline, a big storyline, which involves one of the main Polish professors. We learn has turned, and he's like a Nazi spy. So things are put in motion with a ticking clock. Essentially, if this professor gets the Germans with all of the information from his students, like the Germans are going to target those students from so there's that element which keeps you going, and then there's a love triangle. There's all sorts of sex and politics involved in this. For 1942, there's a lot of great subtext involving language and dropping bombs and whatnot. It's fun kind of trying to pick out the subtext, what they can get away with, because it was during the Hays Code. And what else?
This apparently was nominated for Best Original Song.
Yeah, I know. I don't even remember
Best
the music of
Best
it.
Original, Best Score.
I mean, that's the least memorable part of this
Really?
movie for me. So, albeit it's a bit blind for at the time for the jokes that it was going after,
Sure.
but there's a lot of very sharp, witty comedy in this movie. I highly recommend To Be or Not to Be. I know a lot of old movies feel like homework. I'd like to thank Jeffrey Covey, for bringing this to my attention and forcing it upon me, as it were. But I am happy that he did. I really quite enjoyed this movie, To Be or Not to Be. They remade it in '83. It was released.
Under the same title?
I think both of them are available on HBO Max. That's how I saw it, To Be or Not to Be. Yeah, it's the same title for the '83 one. And watching Jack Benny,
It is streaming on HBO Max as well as the Criterion Channel.
Jack Benny, his father, when he went to see the movie. What?
I think they have the wrong poster.
What's that?
Okay, so yeah, okay. The poster on Just Watch has Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft, but the actual movie image is clearly Carol Lombard. So yes, it looks like
They messed up the two movies, the
simply
remake and
they have the wrong poster.
So when Jack Benny's father, who Jack Benny was known, as like a clown and a comedic guy, but he had to show some acting chops in here. He's playing, he's impersonating officers. He's definitely got the comedic chops. He opens up with him in a Nazi uniform, performing on stage. And when his dad went to go see it, he was outraged at the sight of his son in a Nazi uniform. So he stormed out of the theater.
No.
But Jack Benny convinced his dad to go
God,
back.
it's acting.
He was like, Dad, it's satire. Don't believe me, you're going to like it. So his dad agreed to sit through all of it. And I don't know, this is a very particular number, but apparently his dad ended up loving it so much that he saw it. Guess how many times he saw it? Guess how many times Jack Benny's father saw To Be or Not to Be?
You're asking me to guess, so I'm going to go high. I'm going to say 20 times.
46.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how you get that specific. It seems excessive. Yep. And then Carol Lombard was married to Clark Gable at the time, and he was very upset with her taking this role because it was fairly lascivious. There was a love triangle involving an airman and Jack Benny's character, who is the actor, and it's good.
All right.
To Be or Not to Be.
Okay.
There's our service of shining a light on yesteryear,
Well, we got
Hollywood's yesteryear.
Top 5 non-new movies soon.
We do have to do that. When do we
Is
do
that
that?
a Patreon? It is Patreon, right?
I don't think it is.
I thought it was.
I think it was 1 year, but why do that?
I think it was the opposite.
Should we do it as Patreon? Nah, well, we'll figure it out. Is it Patreon? Yeah, we do a top 5 at the end of the year.
Yeah. So yeah, the first year we did it was a regular episode, and then we've been Patreon bonus every year.
All right, well, let's do that for Patreon. We'll schedule that soon.
Usually
Where
it's
we
January's Patreon.
do our top 5. Well, that's this month, Bryan.
Yeah, so let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, we'll recount our 5 favorite movies that weren't from 2022. Which there's usually some movies that are better
Some bangers in there.
than the Vaulties.
Yeah, seriously.
So we're catching. A lot of them are listener based too. A listener, assigned movies from our Patreon list. So I love how this show is really being, it's still healthy. It's not like all driven by the listeners and we only do and watch what the listeners demand. But,
I say that's healthier.
the listeners definitely have a voice in this here program. And I really like that because the more voices, the better. All right. What do you got, Bryan?
I got a documentary that I saw. It's been a while.
Christ.
I haven't done a doc in a few weeks.
Is it a music doc?
No, it is not. It is actually a
Music doc.
historical. Well, whatever. I think you've seen it because I think it came up as a possible assignment at one point, and then you maybe backed off. Did you ever see Explorer? Explorer.
Yes.
The documentary about Sir Ranulph Wren.
I gave you the link for this.
You may no. I think I was seeing it for the Corolla show. But either way, I saw
I got a
it.
screener for it, and I asked for a screener for you, and then I gave you the screener. So
Oh, you may have. Directed by Matthew Dias. This is about the world's greatest living explorer, Sir Ranulph Rand Fiennes. 100% at Rotten Tomatoes. You can rent this across multiple platforms.
Seems high.
You never flick fest. Did you not like it?
I didn't love this movie. No.
Really, I enjoyed it quite a bit. He's the draw. I mean, he's the guy. The whole thing's about him. It's a biographical documentary.
I mean, what he did was extraordinary, and it's crazy. Like, this guy wasn't really known, but it's kind of like how the other half lived early on, I think. And I didn't like how they were trying to paint him as the victim
He's
early
a child
on.
of privilege.
Yeah, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way right off the bat. It's like, yeah, look at this guy getting to just do whatever the fuck he wants. He just happens to want to explore. I mean,
But without people like him, certain
or scientists and grants and
Yeah.
and there's institutions that do this kind of thing too.
And to belie his sort of noble upbringing, he's a very down-to-earth guy, almost demure. Like he drives this, he's a bad driver, and he still drives himself. He's an older man at this point, as you can imagine, because he's famous for exploring Antarctica.
Well, he wanted to circumvent the Earth via the North and South Poles, so go all the way up, all the way down, and he's an incredible modern day explorer. It's kind of how they paint him, which is he was, even though a lot of the source footage is like 70s, 80s. Exactly. But at that time, there was a lot of people that preceded him, but he was trying to take it to the next levels.
And he is he's an affable fellow. He's a bad driver, insists on driving himself to this day. There's a lot of footage of him as an older man from recent years where his car is just all dented up from scraping things and tapping poles, I assume, other cars. What?
I'm just looking at my notes,
okay.
Listening to you. Other cars, yes. He was not easy on the cars.
There is a finger trauma that exists in this film. Mm-hmm. Extreme finger trauma.
Yep. Yeah, that's what the cold do to you.
That's what the cold does to you if you're not careful. And he is intent on. He pulls his own sled. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy. Yes, he is that child of privilege, but he grew up fairly determined to do everything on his own.
And his dad died 4 months before he was born, which probably had an effect on his psychosis, which they didn't get into. I would have liked some of that. They were kind of in love with the access to the archival footage, which I kind of tire of, especially if it's tundra and it's all white and grainy footage. Right. I got a little.
But so that was pretty intense, though.
Yeah, a lot of it was.
The guy who's still alive today doing that.
Yeah, so there is a great scene where he's, they're showing him at the time, and like there was some controversy around him, and then it just hard cuts to like him today, because you don't even know if this guy's alive or not, and then it cuts to him today, and he's like trying to figure out what woke means, and he's trying to live in this new world.
That is fun, seeing him. Yes, exactly, trying to exist in this sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Domesticated world.
Yeah.
When he's all about the wilderness.
Operation Snatch.
Forgot
was
about
a large part of the movie. But, Shackleton has an amazing storyline. And there's documentaries about that explorer who, got his boat marooned in the Arctic and the frozen. I liked it. There was something that I wasn't like, I didn't find this guy to be heroic.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I disagree. I mean,
I guess in his older age, I think I did.
Yeah, I found
after his heart attack.
I liked the older version of him because that's the one we get to know, and that's the one that's the most relatable. He's just this kind of guy who dodders around the house.
But he has a heart attack, and then he becomes obsessed with running marathons, which you don't see that every day.
That's true.
However, he has the lifestyle that affords him to just focus on running marathons after his heart attack. He seems like he just lived a life of leisure at his pace, which happened to be very hard.
He did what he wanted to do.
He did what he wanted to do, yeah.
There was speaking of heart attacks and running, et cetera, there is a scene of him smoking in the Arctic, which I imagine adds a degree of difficulty. Just trying to get the goddamn thing lit. I don't know if you remember that or not. I found that very amusing.
That's why you get the torch. Yeah.
I don't know if they had that in the 60s or 70s or whatever.
Oh, Explorer. I'm glad you brought it to the program. I don't think this will be up for best documentary, but you know what we got to still see is that the Lovers in the Lava or what
oh yeah, Fire of Love is
Fire of Love. Yeah, that's streaming on the old Disney Plus and National Geographic. We should watch that one where they're in love, scientists who love the lava and they're in love with each other and then they die by the lava.
We may have to.
It made them famous, but yeah. All right. Just because it's up for best documentary doesn't mean that I have to watch it there, Bryan.
I do.
I would like to reiterate that if Kate Blanchett is not up for Tar, for Lydia Tar, I will not be watching the Oscars this year.
There's almost no chance of it.
I will not be watching them this year, though. All right. Is that it for you?
Yeah. 4.
All right, that's 3 movies. I got one more. I think this is on Netflix. I saw it months ago. I'm throwing it out there because, hey, it's interesting, especially with the most recent crypto thing that happened a few weeks ago. But this one's called Trust No One, The Hunt for the Crypto King.
Oh, I heard about it.
And this is all about the death of cryptocurrency multimillionaire, Jerry Cotton. So story picks up with him dying early on. In the documentary, you learn that he's dead, died mysteriously. However, all of his investors' money died with him, or went away, or went missing with him, because no one can access it but him, which is one of the ongoing problems with cryptocurrency and all of the passwords and seeds and all the different things that you need to access this money. And it becomes almost a don't fuck with cats, with these investors turned sleuths trying to figure out what actually happened with this guy.
Where he is, where the money is.
And I watched it with the wife. It's you could spend your time doing 90 minutes doing something else, or you won't feel like you lost 90 minutes. You're going to learn some things, and it's on Netflix. So it's a soft. I don't like to review 3-star movies, which I think are average.
Okay.
Which you think are better than average, but I try and bring
slightly above.
Either new movies that are absolute shit that we have to watch because they're in the zeitgeist, and we're giving people an idea of whether they should invest time in the theater, or movies that are at least 4-star that I track down, or that's what I try and do. So that's why movies like Explorer and Trust No One kind of fall through the cracks with me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you think Explorer's a 3-star movie?
Yeah.
I thought it was better than that.
Like maybe 3 stars.
Oh, I disagree with that. I mean, it's not Free Solo. It's not fucking white.
It's not
knuckle.
gripping. No, it's not.
not.
And it kind of needed to be for
But it's more
what the subject matter
biographical,
was.
though. I mean, it's not.
Did you even talk about how he was like in the running to be the next James Bond? Like he was one of like 7 candidates or something at one point.
I think it was when they replaced Connery with Lazenby. Yeah.
With who?
George Lazenby.
Lazenby.
Though he was the one and done Bond.
I don't know. I have no idea.
A non-actor who.
I don't care.
Okay.
I honestly do not give a
On
flying.
Her Majesty's Secret Service.
So yeah, all right. Hey guys, that was a lot of fun. This is a very short episode. Apologies
Brisk.
for that.
But you know what, though, you guys,
we got a
you're-
really fat episode coming
Yeah.
up. Oh my God, an hour and 40 minutes.
Is that really
I think
what
it
it
was.
was?
I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah, we have Gina Grad on, and there's a lot that we talk about.
You guys are in luck. There's a great episode coming up with Gina Grad after this, where we do top 5 90s art house films as chosen by Gina Grad herself. We often let the guests choose, and that's what she wanted to do, and it was a very fruitful episode.
And I'd like to remind you and the listener, Brian, what we'll be doing next week. Tyler Mayer has assigned us freezing cold scenes. Freezing cold scenes. Top 5 freezing cold scenes will be the listener decider next week from our friend Tyler. And then Thomas Kusterman has us. Nope. Did it again.
Look at you.
Did it again because Brian fucker that he is didn't watch his assigned film from John Campbell, which is a very good movie. A Good Woman is Hard to Find, which is, like I say in the upcoming episode, it feels like Blue Ruin, but from a female perspective.
I'm
To an
gonna text
extent,
you in
the
about
same
half an
tone.
hour.
It's the same tone.
Okay.
It's A Good Woman is Hard to Find, which is a movie that kind of got overlooked during the pandemic. It is hard to watch, though. So if you're squeamish,
Really?
one of the most realistic dismemberments I've ever seen.
Oh,
in a
my.
movie. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But it's not that kind of movie. It's not like a dirty movie. It's
Clearly.
well shot. It doesn't feel like Gummo or something like that. It's not Henry the Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Okay.
It's clean, right? It's a well shot film. It's
Excited to check it out.
well acted movie, and yeah, it's very good. A Good Woman's Hard to Find from John Campbell.
That'll be Flickfest next week.
And also, finally, Brian, this is just to reiterate because
Yes.
I know how you are. Eric Robbins is back for more, and he's having us watch Dr. Horrible Sing Along, which is available on YouTube. It was kind of a phenomenon a few years ago when it came out. You and I missed it, so we'll be talking about Dr. Horrible Sing Along on YouTube,
All right.
which is 42 minutes. So.
Both of those will be Flickfest next week, so check us out then. Thank you to Kickbush. They are our featured artist this week. Check them out over at andersonandbryan.com. That is where you go for all your Film Vault needs, including the Amazon banner, which we will read the purchases on the next episode. Instagram is Anderson and Bryan. Facebook is the Film Vault. Twitter is the Film Vault. Patreon is the Film Vault. YouTube, the Film Vault podcast.
Yeah, well, you guys do us a favor, and I know a lot of you on the YouTubes over there. You check out a lot of stuff and content on the YouTubes. Check out what we're doing on YouTube because we got
Art is
more
great.
stuff than ever before. And if you're just looking for backlogged reviews and whatnot, Eric is doing amazing work for us on TikTok. He's repurposing for YouTube, and he's just condensing the reviews that we do in little bite-sized pieces so you can get the gist of what we're talking about. And he's got the subtitles on there, and he does the edits. He puts in a lot of work, and it shows. These are really good. So give us a subscribe over there and give us some watches because we're trying to get that YouTube channel going for discovery too. It's an easy way to say, hey, they know that show, the Film Vault that I,
You can sample.
here's, share it with friends because we're trying to get the word out about the program, because we know there's a lot of listeners that would enjoy what we do that have not heard us because there's so much goddamn noise. But we were doing the noise first.
That's a good point.
We were making noise when there's we were one of like 5 film podcasts or something absurd now before all the big heavy hitters in the studios got involved. Come on now.
You're referring to Eric Kath. Special thanks to him for
right.
doing all that.
That is
thanks to Giovanni, Jordan Wolf, Mitch Burns, and Mike Cole for all of your help. Check out Andy's Antiques. Don't check out Invade the Decade. And thanks to all of our Patreon listeners. And until next time,
we do it for Vango.
Kicked around by the wind and the rain.
Hey, YouTubers, give us a like and subscribe. Hit that notification button down there. Woo! Bri, would you stop listening to things other people can hear? I hope there's nothing personal on there. You want to say anything special to the YouTube people? That's nothing. That added nothing, and it gave them... You know what I like about this new shot? Come here. Come here, take a look. Got some cupcakes over my shoulder. You like that? Bad. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And yeah, well, for YouTube, it's very rude. Yeah, and like I said, it's an easy way to hey, listen to these jackasses talk about this movie that I think you should see. This is why, and hopefully we're giving you a good reason why. Or if you have a friend who thinks that they're special and that they love white noise. You can say, well, there's a couple experts who have been talking about movies professionally for many years, and here's what they have to say. All right, this is a little added extra stuff. All right, good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.